Hey everybody, welcome to the next episode of The Tea. If you hear any banging, it's my neighbors. They just moved in. So, yeah. Today I'm drinking oolong tea, which is supposed to be good for you in ways that I don't remember right now, but I know that it is. So that's why I'm drinking it. Also, I just had coffee. I was gonna drink coffee for this, but nah. So, today's topic is something that has been hitting home for me lately. It's something that has been hitting home all of 2020. Women owning their sexuality. For some reason, that is such a big fucking problem. And so I can't wait to talk about it. Like I said, it's been a really big topic of late 2020. Ever since WAP came out with Cardi B and Megan Thee Stallion, and people were all up in arms with the song being overly sexual and extremely explicit and all of this stuff and like whatever. Which I don't understand because it's Cardi and Megan, and so that's not really a fucking surprise that they would be sexually explicit, but whatever. We'll get to that. And then I started experiencing it a lot, and it's something that you learn when you're a woman and you get into social media and you become a little well known. One of my TikTok colleagues, Lucas Arnold, did a really hilarious remix to WAP. He does impressions, and he did an impression of John Mulaney rapping WAP. John Mulaney is definitely one of my favorite comedians, and Lucas is definitely one of my favorite creators, a mutual friend on TikTok, and I heard it and I was like, there's no way I am not gonna twerk to this later. Because it was so funny. And so I did. And I had a lot of fun with it. Lucas loved it. But I got a lot of shock in the comments. They're like, oh my God, I wouldn't expect this from you. Or I didn't know that you were like that kind of girl and stuff. Like they were very shocked to see me in, I guess, a sexual context. But I'm like, okay. And then very recently, I did a photo shoot to promote an underwear brand, a gender-neutral underwear brand called Woxer, which is really, really comfortable, and I really, really recommend it. It's one of the most comfortable pairs of underwear I have ever put on. And it's gender-neutral, so good cause. And people were way up in arms about that. They were like, and the thing about it is that now I have braids, I have long hair, and I was like, you know what would be cute? If I did it topless, if it was just the underwear. And because I have braids now, I can cover the front of me. And so I'm like, that would be tasteful, that would be nice. And so I did that. And needless to say, of course, I got a lot of attention, which was intended because it's an underwear company. It's a marketing campaign. And so it's my job to get people's attention. So I did. Showing as much as my body that I was comfortable showing. And that's fine, of course, right? And people were really up in arms. They were like, did you have to take your shirt off? Like, oh, you're one of those kinds of girls, really? Like, there are children watching. I'm like, did someone make you do this? Like, assuming that somebody made me do it. Like, I'm a child or some shit. And some other common comments when things like this come up are like, what does your husband think? Where's your husband? And stuff like that. And it always, like, confuses me because I'm like, I kind of formulated my own brand this year. I'm like, I'm a grown woman who curses in basically every single one of my fucking videos. Yeah, I don't think that I've necessarily like cultivated a kid-friendly PBS vibe brand here. And so first of all, I'm like, don't act like I haven't been saying or doing whatever the fuck I want to do in the first place. Don't act like I don't drop the F-bomb like in every fucking video I do, as in right now. And there seems to be a problem with seeing women as full-ass adults, absent of men. And that is very, very evident from the way that women are treated on social media, including myself, women like Cardi, women like Megan, and policing women's bodies is just like a big thing. It's definitely a double standard. Because obviously, you know, men can walk around however they want, wearing whatever the fuck they want, or not wearing whatever the fuck they want. And it's attractive, and it's hot, and it's like, whoa, awesome. It's like powerful even. It's, you know, whatever. And when women do it, it's very demonized, and it's like, ew, gross, or like, cover yourself up. Like, you know, what does your husband think and all that. And and it's very interesting because honestly, just like the concept of race was invented to control other people and create a hierarchy, and gender and femininity is definitely used to control women. It always has been, and we're entering a new age in which that's not a fucking thing anymore, and people really can't process that in their heads. And so there's this demonization of the female body. It's definitely related to rape culture, like, you know, when a woman's, you know, I'm very sure that's really common when a woman experiences sexual assault. There's always the questions like, what were you wearing? Were you drinking? Like, it's always assumed that it's the woman's fault, and blame is shifted from the man to the woman for enticing them with their bodies. It's also it's also what I've seen men complain about women. Preying on men's sexualization of them to make money on OnlyFans, which I'm like, I don't think you know what preying means, because that's not preying behavior. But you know, and it's something that's had a real big impact on me because I grew up very conservatively Christian. And I grew up looking down on women that showed a lot of their bodies. I grew up being very afraid of sex and being very afraid of sexuality as a whole. And so when it comes to sexuality, even as a 20-year-old woman, I'm very far behind. I'm not very knowledgeable. I'm not very mature in it because it was something that I feared, and it's something that is used to put fear into women in order to control them. Like, the control of women has been an age-long thing. Definitely something that the patriarchy fears a lot. And so they use sexualization and the demonization of the female body to, you know, to keep that control, to shift blame for abuse from the man to the woman. Like, always. And that's something that I have to actively work against, that upbringing, that brainwashing to be ashamed of my body. And one of those ways, honestly, is embracing my sexuality, even on social media, showing off the body that I worked hard for, celebrating it. I lost like 40 pounds in the last year because I was pre-diabetic, and I gained it from depression and then taking antidepressants. Zoloft put that weight on. Don't ever fucking take Zoloft. It will fuck you up. You know, I'm fitting into lingerie that I haven't fit in forever, and I'm like, oh my god, I'm looking at myself in the mirror, I'm like, oh my god, I look great, I look amazing, like, this is awesome, and I feel really happy with myself. And the way that I choose to celebrate could very well be taking pictures, taking boudoir pictures, taking lingerie pictures, showing off my body. And you know what? Will I put it on OnlyFans? Fuck yeah, I'll put it on OnlyFans. I don't care, because people will pay to celebrate my body with me, I suppose. And that's completely fine. It's my body. I can do what I want with it. I can celebrate it the way I want. I also take issue when people ask, where's your husband? What does your husband think? My husband doesn't own me. There's this old-fashioned notion of, if a woman is married, then her husband owns her, that her husband controls her, that she is not allowed to express herself sexually, even mildly, without her husband's consent, or just not at all. I remember I was at a function with my husband a few years back, and I was wearing this bomb red dress. It was really amazing. And this woman came up, she complimented my dress. She's like, you look amazing. And she was like, so what are you here for? And I was like, oh, I'm here with my husband. He's performing at this this banquet. He was dancing with his company. And she was like, oh, you're not dressed like you're married. What the fuck what does that mean? What do you mean I'm not dressed like I'm married? What am I supposed to do? Put on a fucking Puritan frock, cover my head? Like, what the fuck? And for some people, and for some women, that's empowering. Covering up, modesty, that's empowering. The point of feminism is that you can choose what empowers you. So for that bitch to say you're not dressed like you're married was highly insulting, as if I don't have any free will anymore because I'm fucking married. I was like, I didn't really know what to say back then. I was a little more timid. But now, if she were to say that to me today, I'd be like, what the fuck are you talking about? I am a grown woman. I can wear whatever I want to wear. I can express myself however I want to express myself. Just because I am a woman that's married doesn't mean that he owns me, doesn't mean that he owns my right to do anything. I can do whatever the fuck I want, just like he can. We are partners. I don't belong to him. I'm not a piece of property. I'm not. And I can be just as sexual and just as, I don't know, attractive or expressive as I was before I was married, if not more so, because being in a partnership honestly has helped my sexuality obviously in obvious ways that you can fucking, guess. But, it's ridiculous. And, it's assumed that men can just go off and do whatever they want. And it's just like, boys will be boys, men will be men. But if you're a woman, it's like you're attached at the hip or you're attached to your husband and and there's certain things that you just can't do anymore. And I don't subscribe to that bullshit at all. There is definitely something about male ownership that has something to do with this, because when the whole thing about WAP came out, I was really confused because I'm like, it's Cardi B and it's Megan. Like, there's no surprise about what these women sing or rap about regularly. They've always been sexually explicit. Always. I started listening but then I listened to some of the earlier songs that both of these women had done with artists like 21 Savage, with, Cardi's husband, Offset. I think Megan did a song with Young Thug. And some of these songs are way more explicit than WAP, like way, way more. But there was no problem with that. And so that's when I came to the realization, like, oh, you are uncomfortable because there's two women together without the presence of a man expressing and owning their sexuality, because for some reason people seem to need a male figure in songs like these, a male figure standing there, which I guess gives the woman permission to be a sexual being as long as there's a man there. And that is extremely problematic, and it's definitely a trend that I've noticed, especially after that song. And people need to stop doing that. And so I say to you, whether you agree with me or not, just fucking stop. Stop policing and demonizing the female body like you don't do for men. The female body is beautiful. All bodies are beautiful, no matter what they are. Male, female, everything in between, all genders, all bodies are beautiful, and they deserve to be celebrated. Some people celebrate their bodies in modesty and they cover up, and sometimes that's part of someone's religion, and it's just part of what makes somebody feel good, and that's completely fine. Like, I have friends like that are more comfortable in modesty. That's how they are comfortable in their bodies, and that is completely okay. That's completely okay. You get to choose. There's no right and wrong there. But don't demonize and police any woman that decides to celebrate their body by showing it off, because that's highly abusive, it's gaslighting, and it's dumb, and it's old-fashioned, and you need to get over it. Stop feigning concern. I love the people that are like, there's like predators and there's like old people on here. I'm like, okay, it's Instagram. Nobody's gonna reach out and touch me through Instagram. Stop, like the worst that I'm gonna get is a dick pic. Trust me. And I've gotten so many of those that it really doesn't even faze me anymore. And like, stop feigning concern. Like, why don't you just admit that you're just uncomfortable? You're just uncomfortable with me expressing my body in the way that I just did. In which case, you could have just shut the fuck up and then just kept scrolling. But some people want to be ignorant and dumb and push it down there. So stop feigning concern. Like, stop pretending like you're concerned for my well-being, like you know me when you don't. Like, just scroll on and be on your merry way, but don't pretend that you're concerned about me when you're really just uncomfortable, which you need to get over. And if you're not willing to get over it, then just don't say anything because you look stupid. Scroll away. And then stop assuming ownership. Stop assuming ownership of a woman if she is expressing herself in that way. Like, whether it's asking what my husband thinks or where my husband's at, or whether it's, assuming that somebody made me do it. That really bothered me when I did that underwear shoot and someone was like, did someone make you didn't have to take off your shirt? I hope you know that. I'm like, I'm 28. I know what the fuck I can and cannot do. It's my own feed. Like, I did this because I wanted to, and they're like, oh, I was just worried that somebody made you. I'm like, I'm a grown woman. Nobody made me do anything. Stop assuming that somebody forced me into doing that. Like, stop assuming that my body is only, something to be used by somebody else. Stop assuming that it's something to be used by someone else, because that is the underlying assumption, right? No, it's mine. I wanted to show it in this way. I wanted to market that wonderful underwear, by the way, in that way to get attention, and I did. And also, there's far more risque photos out there than me with my braids covering my areola. Okay, now. And there's nothing wrong with those photos either, because that's how those women choose to frame themselves. That's how those women choose to celebrate their bodies and show it off. So be it. Awesome. In closing, I'm grown. I'm a woman. I'm not a little girl. I'm a woman. People need to start seeing women as adults. People need to start seeing women as beings that own their own bodies, that own their own sexuality, that don't belong to men, that don't need permission from men to show it off, that don't need permission from men to do certain things, to wear certain things, to be a certain way. We don't. We are beings unto ourselves, and you need to start seeing it like that, because times are changing, and if you don't shape up soon, we will squash you because we're coming out of the woodworks now. You know, we're not letting this hold us back anymore, and get with the times, motherfucker. That's all I got to say. So that's that. So that's that episode of The Tea. Felt very strongly about that, and I'm glad I got it out. Hope you enjoyed this episode. Please don't forget to follow me on social media, on Instagram, TikTok. Oh, also like this video and subscribe to this channel if you like it. If there's anything else that you'd like me to talk about, feel free to DM me. Feel free to leave it in the comments. And I usually put out feelers on my Instagram story. For like a question and answer, what people want to hear. So definitely follow me on Instagram so that you can take place in that. Don't forget to check out my OnlyFans and Patreon. That would be a really, really great way to support, because this is what I do. I'm a content creator. This is pretty much what I do now. So that would be great. So go ahead and check it out. Really, really cool rewards associated with especially Patreon. So do that. But anyway, that's it. And I will see you on the next episode of The Tea. Bye, guys.